Hey everybody, welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. As you can see here, we've got a big mess. We are actually designing and mapping out the toggle switch panel for our 986 Boxster we've been working on. This is the actual Luminite panel that we will be using, and this is our mock-up that we actually built that one based on it. And that's why we've got everything here. We're going to be drawing on it, marking it up, measuring out where everything's going to go, and then we'll actually be drilling holes. A lot of the toggle switches are on order, but there are some that we're going to be installing tonight. Before we get into that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, like if you enjoy this type of content. Also make sure to follow us on Instagram, Tenza_Motorsports. So let's go over how we've got all this mapped out right now. So let's see if I can get this to show what we're doing, and ignore my crappy handwriting, but this is the panel up here. It looks like we're going to be doing an e-stop with a light, fan. This will be a 50 amp, windows. So the window switches, where they used to sit, is gone, and the old window switches for some reason aren't working. So we're going to be running our own window switches. That'll be an on-off on Momentary. Accessory on fuel pump and ignition. Fuel pump is coming when we do a fuel cell on the car, and then these two over here are extras. This is a USB. You've seen us do that in the past when we built the other panels. That's basically just a USB port, and we actually run that off the cigarette lighter. This is the wire harness that we're going to be using. This is actually built, I built this by hand, and I'll have everything that we're using linked in the description below, and there's a lot. So you'll want to look through that if you're going to be building anything like this. This right here is a trailer wire. I just bought this from the local auto parts store, and this plug right here is a 12 pin. I believe it's 6 on the top, 6 on the bottom, and these can come in various different sizes, but I wanted a pigtail that was nice, that didn't get hung up. I hate pulling on wire harnesses. When you go to disconnect it, you squeeze the tab, it doesn't come apart. That makes me, very few things make me as frustrated as clips that will not come apart. So the fact that these are super smooth, they've got watertight connectors in there if you want to use them, really cool stuff. We got that down in the description below. And yeah, so right now we're going to be running 6 along the top, 5 along the bottom, and then we're just going to kind of space them out the same. And the reason for that is because you can see here the panel actually widens as it goes towards the top. Bottom of the panel is about a ½ an inch wider than most of the E46 ones, and the top is closer to a foot. And that's why we want to run as many toggles as we can. We could pack this full, but you know, then this would be tight trying to run the e-stop button and all sorts of other things. So yeah, we're going to try to make sure that this is all measured out right and looks symmetrical. We're going to be running LED lights as well. Got a whole big bag of those, every single color. I think I bought 100 of these, so there's like 10 different colors and 10 of each color. So yeah, let's get, we'll get a time lapse started, and we'll show, you know, this process. It's not super exciting, nothing crazy, just some behind the scenes stuff that oftentimes gets overlooked. So everything is still a big mess. This is a pretty intense project because you got to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect, because if not, you'll see it in the toggle switch panel. It's not something that you can just, you know, oh, I'm just going to move the toggle switch over a ½ an inch. You have to make sure that you measure 1,000 times and drill just once. So we've got our bottom row of toggle switches here, and the top row there, and then this other angle is the LED lights. So we're gonna go take this out to the garage. Got a step up bit. This Illuminite is super easy to drill through. And then the other thing that I wanna mention that not a lot of people talk about is this style of switch here with the cover doesn't actually sit in the middle. So you actually have to measure that distance and make sure that you put the toggle switch where it needs to go. So these are actually brought down, I believe it's like a ½ centimeter. And that way, the distance between the actual physical switch and the LED is the same as down here. So yeah, that's just something that I've learned in the past. And if we would have just drilled the hole in the middle, these would have, the whole top row would have looked completely off. So, okay, let's go take this out in the garage and we'll get it drilled out. I've got all the LEDs in. We wrapped it black. We do have all of our new toggle switches. So there is the new toggle switches, our window switch, and we'll have all this put together today, and then we'll be attaching the harness. So here's the harnesses underneath. We'll get these labeled, and then we'll get them into the car. All right, so we just wanted to show the toggle switch panel now that everything is all done. It was quite a bit of a project, but nothing super crazy, and very similar to how we've got our race car set up. So we've actually got accessory on, and then this right here is gonna be the fuel pump. We don't have one quite just yet, but that is set up. And then the ignition. The ignition is very similar to my race car. You'll push up, it's got a Momentary on it, and then that's how the car will start. We've got a fan switch here that we're gonna be using. This one does have a high and low. At some point we'll be doing those. These two right here are dummy switches. We left those so that we could add any gauges or things like that in the future. It's always good to build a toggle switch panel with extra toggles just in case. We talked about these, the windows. So those do in fact work. That's a Momentary on off on both sides. Same thing with mine as well. You got your e-stop, and that shuts off the power to the whole panel. Twist it, resets it, turns everything back on. So here, if we got like, turn this on and hit this, we'll turn it back off, resets it. So pretty cool. I'm going to show here real quick how we start it. And yeah, I appreciate everybody so much for watching. And if you need any of these parts, if you're interested in anything like this, I will have the link to every single piece that we used in the description. There's lots of little pieces, each individual light and the housing and the washers, the covered toggle switches, these lights here. There's lots of little pieces. So I'll have all that linked below. Thanks so much for watching. Let's get the car started. I'll show you how it runs.
Bam!